Good morning to all my children of class 8, and I am happy to welcome you all back in this new week to my biology class and for today's botany class. So in this class we will be studying about transport in plants. What's the topic for today's class? Transport in plants. It's from chapter 1. Okay. It's from chapter 1. We have already started the lesson for the last week, and this will be the continuation of the last week's class. So what did we study in your last botany class? You have studied about the transportation of water and food through xylem and phloem, right? So you must be thinking, we have already studied about transportation in plants, and why is this topic repeated again? In the last class we have studied about the structure of xylem and phloem, which can help the plant to transport food and water, right? We have studied xylem and phloem can transport food and water in the plants. In this class we will study how xylem and phloem will transport, the exact mechanism how it is going to transport the food and water. Okay, there are three mechanisms to transport food and water or any other material inside the plant, and about those three mechanisms you will be studying in this class. So let's get started. So the transport in plants is by three mechanisms, I told you, right? What are those three mechanisms? The first one is called as diffusion, the second mechanism is osmosis, and the third mechanism is active transport. What are they? Diffusion, osmosis and active transport. Only by these three mechanisms water and food particles are transported within a plant. Okay, so when this mechanism is applied and when this is applied, how will it decide, how the plant will decide which mechanism to use? There are certain criteria or rules, and based on that only these three mechanisms will be applied for the transportation of materials in plants. Okay, so what are they? So before learning about these three mechanisms in detail, let me give you an outline, okay, like how you learn formula for maths. No, if you learn formula for maths you can solve the problems easily, right? So similarly I will give you three conditions, you learn them, you memorize them better so that you will have a clear idea when I explain about this later. Okay, so what are they? You need not think what it is, just memorize the concept what I tell you, and then when I explain you will understand in a better way. So what to memorize? Learn these words. In diffusion it is always from high to low, in osmosis it is always from high to low, in active transport it is from low to high. So this is the first one you are expected to learn. What did I tell you? In diffusion it is from high to low, and in osmosis also it is from high to low, but in active transport it is from low to high. So keep this in mind. So this is the first point to memorize. The second one what you should know is, in diffusion always solute participates, in osmosis always solvent or water participates, in active transport always solute participates. Okay, so for diffusion and active transport solute, and for osmosis it is going to be solvent. What is the solute and what is the solvent? That is the third point. So what is solute? Solute is a solid material and solvent is water or any other liquid material. So solute means immediately you should get the word solid in your mind. Okay, say for example, sugar is a solute, salt is a solute. What is a solute? All solid materials which can dissolve in water are all called as solutes. So whatever solid material can dissolve in water, salt and sugar can dissolve in water, right? So they are called as solutes. So since it is all dissolved in water, you call it as solute. And what dissolves them? Usually water dissolves them, right? Where do you dissolve salt and water? In petrol? No, right? You dissolve them in water. So water is called the universal solvent because most of the materials in this world can be dissolved in water. Most of the not materials, wood all will not dissolve, right? So most of the solutes in this world will dissolve in the solvent called as water. Okay, so just remember, solvent means water, solute means some solid material which can dissolve in water. So once again we'll recall these three rules and then we'll get into the explanation part of these three mechanisms. So what did I tell you? There are three mechanisms by which the materials can be transported in the plant. The first mechanism is diffusion, the second one is osmosis, and the third one is active transport. So in diffusion and osmosis, always it is from high to low, and whereas in active transport it is always from low to high. Okay, this is the first rule. The second rule, for diffusion and active transport, solute is involved, and in osmosis solvent is involved. This is the second rule. And the third point what you should remember is, whenever you hear the word solute, it means solids. Whenever you hear this word solvent, it means water or any other liquid. So are you clear with these three? Have you memorized this? Now I'll explain, you will understand the concepts better. So first we'll learn about the mechanism called as diffusion. So this is so simple. Actually, you must have seen in your daily life, you take a beaker of water, okay, beaker or a tumbler of water you can take, just spill in or drop in a drop of ink. Okay, so what did I tell you? Take a tumbler. It's better to take a glass tumbler so that you can view what changes is happening inside. Okay, so take a glass tumbler, put a drop of ink into it. Okay, so this is the place where the ink is dropped. After some time what happens? See, it is fully diffused throughout the container or the tumbler what you take, the glass, and then after some time you can see uniform mixing of the dye or the ink what you pour into or drop into. Why? How this happens? You have poured into at a particular place, right? In one place only you dropped one drop of ink. How did it diffuse throughout? By a process called as diffusion. By a process called as diffusion. Actually, what is happening in diffusion? What happens in diffusion? See, this one drop, this one drop is made up of many molecules. This one drop is made up of many molecules. Okay, what is this one drop? You know, many of us think that ink is a liquid, right? But that liquid is made up of dye. Have you heard this word dye? Dye is some color. Okay, so this dye is a solid particle. Okay, dye is made up of many solid particles. So when you drop one drop of ink, it means there are many solid particles at one place. So after some time what happens? These solid particles, see, initially it is all accumulated in one place, right? So it is all converged in one place. So after some time what happens? It is uniform in nature. It is all distributed uniformly throughout the container what you use. So can you understand? So when you pour the ink, it is all in one place, then it diffuses throughout the container. Okay, so what is happening here? What do you understand from this picture? All these particles have moved to some other place, right? So now remember the formula or the rule what I taught you. What did I teach you for diffusion? What did I teach you? Diffusion is from high to low, right? High to low. Here you have high number of molecules. I told you these are all dye particles, right? So many number of high number of molecules, and here you have, do you have any molecules here? Nothing, right? There is no molecule at all. Here you don't have molecules at all. So here what is happening? These molecules which are high in number will move to the place where it is low in number. So the movement of molecules from high number to low number. That's why in the rule I told you as, remember for diffusion as high to low. So from high number to low number. or no number. Okay. So after this movement only you have achieved this picture, that is the movement from higher concentration to lower concentration. Concentration in the sense more number of molecules, from higher number of molecules to lower number of molecules, so that uniform concentration is achieved. Okay. So now let's learn the definition for diffusion. You will understand now in a better way. So what is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of either solids or liquids or gases. In this case it is a solid. Okay, I told you dye is always made up of solid particles. Okay. So the movement of either solids, liquids or gases from higher concentration to lower concentration until the concentration is same on both the sides. So until the concentration is same and uniform, it is distributed, it moves. Are you clear? So what is the definition for diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of solids, liquids or gases from higher concentration to lower concentration until the concentration is same on both sides. So this is the definition for diffusion. But what are we studying? We are studying about diffusion in plants, right? So there is no dye or there is no solid particle. You will think, no, you don't have such a structure inside plant. So what is moving, from where to where it is moving? Let us learn practically. There are 4 examples given in your textbook. Let's interpret this concept with the 4 examples for your better understanding. Okay, the first example, so in the definition you have studied the movement can be either in solids or liquids or gases, right? So all the 3 examples are given here in your textbook. So first example is how the movement happens in solids. So how within a plant solid materials move by the process of diffusion. What did I say? How solid materials are going to move in a plant? By the process of diffusion. The example given in your book is the movement of minerals from soil to root. Example for diffusion is the movement of minerals from the soil to the root. What does this mean? So we will use green for a plant. Okay. So I am not going to focus on the shoot system, I will just focus on the root system because only about the roots we are going to learn. So consider this as a root. So you have root has all. So this is the structure of root. Okay. So now I will draw 2 particles. First one will be minerals. Okay. So these are all minerals. Minerals. What are minerals? Minerals are like phosphorus, calcium, everything is mineral. Nitrogen, potassium, these are all minerals. Okay. Do plants need minerals? Yes, right, they need minerals. So how they get? Either artificially we add manure or fertilizer to the plant, or naturally in the soil also you can find these minerals. Okay. So how the movement of, see, you know, in diffusion what is moving? I told you in the rule, what moves? Solute moves, right? What is solute? Solute means solid particles. Is mineral solid or liquid? Mineral is also solid. Okay. So we are going to see this example as the movement of minerals, that is the solid particles, from the outer environment, that is from the soil, into the plant. So the topic of the lesson is transportation, the mechanism of transportation in plants, right? So how something which is outside the plant is going to get into the plant. So that is what we are going to learn here. So what I have drawn? I have drawn the root, and then I have drawn minerals outside, and what else you have? Let's choose some other color. Let it be a blue. Let me draw water molecules also. So this yellow color represents minerals and blue color represents water molecules. Okay. So now there is going to be a process of diffusion. These minerals, these solid particles will actually be dissolved in water. Okay. So once you pour water to the plant, the minerals which are present in the soil will get dissolved in water. So now see, inside the plant you don't have minerals, right? You will have, of course, but you will have in lesser quantity. So let us mark some particles inside also. It will have minerals inside also. So let's mark few particles. Okay. So now this is the plant. The plant already has, how many I have drawn? Only 3 yellow particles I have drawn, no? Which means a low concentration of minerals. Okay. Plant, that is a plant, it has low concentration of minerals inside. Now I provide in the form of fertilizer, I am adding minerals to the plant. This is in the outer surface. These 3 particles are inside the plant. Okay. So what will happen when I add minerals? By the process of diffusion. By the process of diffusion, here you have higher concentration of minerals, inside you have lower concentration of minerals, right? So diffusion is the process of movement of solid particles from a region of higher concentration, that is from the soil, to a region of lower concentration, that is inside the plant. So all these particles are going to move inside. How it will move? By the process called as diffusion. So that is what diffusion, right? Movement from, here in the case, movement of solid particles from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay. So this is the first example. The second example, also movement of gases is also called as diffusion. So the gases inside a plant, plants have 2 types of gases, right? Either carbon dioxide or oxygen. Okay. So how carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, they can take in carbon dioxide, and by the process of photosynthesis they give out oxygen, right? So automatically plant will be having both the type of gases, that is both carbon dioxide and oxygen. So you are going to learn about their movement. See, again in atmosphere you can see, so this is atmosphere. Okay, this is air. So in air there is so much of carbon dioxide, right? We have polluted the earth so badly, so we have there is no demand at all. We have so much of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So what exists in the atmosphere? The gas called as CO2, that is carbon dioxide. So will the plants have more carbon dioxide than the atmosphere or less carbon dioxide than the atmosphere? Plants will have less carbon dioxide, air will have more carbon dioxide. So now what happens? The process of diffusion starts. What is that? Movement. What is diffusion? Movement of gases. We are studying about gases as example here. Studied already. For gases is the second example given in your textbook. So there is so much of carbon dioxide in atmosphere, that is higher concentration in the air, lower concentration of carbon dioxide inside the plant. So what will happen? Through the leaf, through the stomata. What is stomata? Stomata is the pore in the leaf through which gas exchange can take place from between the leaf and between the, this is the structure of a leaf. What is this? This is a section of a leaf. Okay. So here you have stomata, which is the opening for exchange of gases between air and the leaf, and through the stomata, by the process of diffusion, more concentration of oxygen which is in the air will go into the less concentration. Here you have very little concentration of carbon dioxide, whereas here you have more carbon dioxide. What is diffusion? From high concentration to low concentration, right? So from here it is going to enter inside. Okay, from air or atmosphere into the leaf. How this happens? By the process of diffusion. Okay, this is example for how diffusion happens in plant in the case of gases. There are 2 more examples given in your textbook. We will learn next. So the third example given in your textbook is for liquids. Okay, how liquids move into the plant by process of diffusion. Okay, the example given is water movement from the leaves to the atmosphere. Water movement from the leaves to the atmosphere. Actually, transpiration, there is a process called as transpiration, where water is escaped from the plant to the atmosphere. The loss of water from the plant to the atmosphere is called as transpiration. So in transpiration, what happens is, through the leaf water will escape to the atmosphere, I told you, right. So what happens here, how you call this as diffusion? Because the plants, the water what you pour to the plants, 99% of the water what you pour to the plants will be lost to the atmosphere. Okay. Here what happens, water inside the leaf has more water molecules when compared to the atmosphere. Air will have less water molecules, the leaf will have more water molecules. So what will happen, the water will escape from the leaves to the atmosphere. Okay, why? Because the concentration of water molecules in the plant is higher when compared to the concentration of water molecules in the air. So this is the example for liquids. And finally you have two more examples. In Chlamydomonas, which is a unicellular organism, in these two what happens, actually the nutrients, what they don't have mouth all, right. So what they do, simply by the process of diffusion they take in their nutrients by the process of diffusion. Whenever they go to whenever they are starving, which means whenever there are less nutrients in the body, the nutrients are low in the body, and in the surrounding environment, if the concentration is very high, the nutrients from higher concentration will move into the lower concentration. So this is how they eat. Just by the process of diffusion, higher concentration of nutrients from out will enter inside them. So this is the fourth example given for diffusion in your textbook. So next we learn about the process called as osmosis. So for osmosis also you have a definition. What rule did I tell for osmosis? I told again, from high concentration to low concentration is the rule. But one difference between diffusion and osmosis is, here what moves there, what moved in diffusion, what moved, solid particles or the solute moved, right. Here in the case of osmosis, liquid particles or the water will move. Okay. See, in this case you have more number of sugar molecules but less water, right. But here you have less number of sugar particles but more water. Which has more water? This one only has more water. Why? Because with few sugar molecules, the water is, though the level is same, see the water level is same, right. But why do I say that here there is more water? Because there is less number of sugar particles or sugar molecules. So I can call that the water is more. But here that space is occupied by, this space where water was there were occupied by more number of sugar particles. So you have less water here. Less water, more sugar particles. More water, less sugar particles. So what is the definition for osmosis? The movement of water molecules from high concentration to low concentration. High concentration of what? When it comes to osmosis, you should consider only the water, whereas more water you have to see. In diffusion what we had in mind? Movement of solute, that is the solid particles. So you were comparing which area had more solid particles, but here you should check which area has more water. So where is more water? I told you here there is more water and less sugar, right. So the movement from more water to less water, that is the movement will be from here to here. See here, after some time this parchment paper will let the water alone to pass through, but it will not let the solid particles to pass through. That's why see, same number of, how many you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sugar particles here. Exactly 7 sugar particles are retained here, because this parchment paper's ability is to allow only water, but it will not let the solid particles to move through. So what has happened? Some water has moved to this place. Why it has moved? See, now the concentration is the same. See, the level of water is different, but the concentration is now same. Here you have only few particles, here you have more particles. Now see this, now it is uniformly distributed. The concentration has become same in both the sides. So how this happened? Because of movement of water from where there was more water to the place where there was less water. So through the semi-permeable membrane. So let's see in the definition one more time. The movement of solvent or water molecules from higher concentration of water to lower concentration of water until the concentration has become the same through the semi-permeable membrane. So this is about osmosis. So next we will study about the third mechanism, which is called as, what is the third mechanism? Active transport, right? So let's study about active transport. Oh, example is given for osmosis. What example? Again, movement of water from the soil to the root is the example for osmosis. See, this is a root hair cell, okay. One single root hair from a root. So when you pour water to a plant, if the plant is having less water, and when you pour more water molecules, this is the soil where you have poured so much of water molecules, but the plant inside is having only little water, less water molecules. So by the process of osmosis, water from the soil, that is where there is more water, is moving into the place where there is less water. Osmosis is movement of water molecules from more water molecule area to less water molecule area. This is how the plant will take water. So this is the example for osmosis. So the last process is active transport, right? So we will learn about active transport. In active transport, I told you the rule as the movement from lower concentration to higher concentration, the movement from low concentration to high concentration. So this is a different concept. There is a special rule. In this alone, you need the involvement of ATP. What is this ATP? OTP, you know, right? What is ATP? ATP is a chemical. It is called as adenosine triphosphate. So we call energy, we think energy as some power or some, it's in the unseen form, right? But actually energy inside the body is stored in the form of a chemical, and that chemical is called as ATP. For your level, just you know that ATP is equal to energy. What is ATP? ATP means some energy you keep in mind. Okay, so ATP is energy. So for lower concentration molecules to enter into a place where there is higher concentration, you need so much of energy to pull. Say for example, if there is water in underground, how will you take it out? You have to apply some force to suck the water up, right? At the same time, if you pour water on the ground, it will go automatically from high concentration to lower region, it will flow easily. But from low to high, if you need to take something, you have to apply energy. So that is the concept working here, from low number of molecules to high number of molecules with the help of ATP, that is energy is the definition. So what is the definition? The movement of molecules. Here also what is moving? The solid particles are going to the move, okay. The movement of molecules or ions from a concentration, from a lower concentration to higher concentration. So lower to higher. Previous. So from lower to higher, okay. So lower to higher against concentration gradient. Against concentration gradient means always the rule is the concentration gradient is from high to low, okay. If I tell the word against concentration gradient, it is the opposite, that is it is from low to high. So what did I tell you? Concentration gradient means high to low. But if it is against concentration gradient, it means low to high, okay, with the help of ATP or the energy. So clear about the definition? So let's quickly see a example for this active transport. So what is the example given for active transport? Again, root hair cells. Say for example, you have a plant, okay. In that plant already inside you have so much of minerals inside. See the root hair inside the cell you have, this is a root hair cell, that is a plant cell, okay. Already you have so much of minerals inside the plant. But the soil outside has very low number of minerals. See, you have so many mineral particles inside but very less number of particles outside, okay. So if it is a diffusion process, see for diffusion also I gave the same example, right, movement of minerals from, do you remember I drew the structure of a root and some yellow and blue particles I drew, no, the example for diffusion, there also I was talking about minerals only, but what I did, I drew many mineral particles outside the plant and less mineral particles inside the plant, no. But in this case, see, suppose if the plant is already having so much of mineral particles, but in that the soil, there are only very few mineral particles, but also the plant can suck the minerals by a process called as active transport. The only requirement is the plant has to spend so much of energy to suck it. Okay, do you understand? If you have so much of minerals in the soil, by the process of diffusion without energy being used by the plant, automatically the minerals will get inside. But suppose if the soil is having only very less mineral particles and if the plant is already having more mineral particles, that also, in that case also the plant is so greedy that it will take the minerals from the soil, the very little minerals present in the soil, by a mechanism called as active transport. See, from the soil into the plant. See the direction of the arrow from outside to inside. But this process will require, what will it require? I told you, it requires ATP. The color is not seen. A process with the help of what? I told ATP. What is ATP? It is energy. So when energy is applied, this process of active transport will happen. Okay. So that's all for today's class. Now let's get into the homework part. So for the last class, Jebin has given the correct first correct answer was given by Jebin. Okay. So good, Jebin. And the answers for the previous homework you can note it down in your book. Most of you write in book with pencil, right? So if you have written wrong answer, please do correct. You can check the answers and correct in your notebook. Okay. So for today's homework, you are going to do a activity. Let's do a activity. What you will do? In your biology book, page number 19, activity number 2, because in this page, page number 19 in your biology book, you actually have 2 activities, okay. So do not do the first one, you are going to do the activity number 2, okay. Note this down, activity number 2. What is that? You are going to take a potato, okay. You will take a potato and, shall I draw? So take a potato unpeeled, which means you are not going to remove the skin of the potato. Take a potato, don't remove the skin, okay. If you remove, you will not get the answer. Don't remove the skin. So you cut the bottom of the potato like this so that it can stand. If you try to keep the potato, what will happen? It will roll, no. So what you do, you cut the base now. So what you have done, you have taken a potato, cut the base and also the top region. In this region also you will cut and put it inside a big vessel, okay, and fill the vessel with water. Not fill, only up to this level, below the level of this basket like thing you have cut, no, it should be below this level, okay. Do not fill it completely with water, okay. Don't immerse the potato inside water all. What you will do, you will fill only like about half the size of the potato you will fill with water, and then you are going to place the potato as such. So after some time, what will happen? After some time, this water will, I didn't choose blue. So this water will move inside. and you can see your basket like structure filled with water. Okay. So this will happen. You take a picture of this and WhatsApp me to this number. Okay. And write the time, in how much of time your basket, at least half the water, half the basket when it is filled, you can click a picture and send me. Okay. The person who sends me first with a good result, I will display that picture in my next class. Okay. So that's all for the class today. You all take care until I meet you in the next class. Bye bye.